Really look into where your child is going and who's going to be watching them.
These children all have a very special place in my heart.
Tonight, a dispute between a mother and a South Jordan daycare. Hear from both the daycare owners and the mother who's concerned.
I'm really, really grateful that I was kind of just in the right place. I'm grateful that everybody ended up being okay.
A bystander jumps in to help a woman save her grandfather after an emergency behind the wheel of a school bus. How he played a role in saving the man's life.
The storm that moved through now leaving some very cold temperatures here across the state. Freeze warnings in effect. We'll show you where and what are we doing throughout the weekend. I'll let you know in the forecast.
Preventing dust storms and supporting the beef industry in the face of a changing climate. We'll take you to the Canyonlands Research Center.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Robin Oginye. We begin Fox 13 News at 9 with breaking news in Utah County. A 19-year-old man is dead after a house explosion. This is happening in the town of Elk Ridge at 276 North Elk Ridge Drive, nearby a Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints meeting house. Now, here's a live look at the scene. We're told this happened in the middle of the afternoon and that multiple people were inside the home at the time of the blast. Authorities are being very careful with how they move forward in their investigation.
When you have an explosion like this, it throws debris everywhere, and it also can tend to cause some real structural problems with the structure itself, with the building itself, in this case a residence. And so you have to be very careful about how you move into it and start sorting through things so that you don't make the problem worse than it already is.
At this point, the cause of the explosion is still under investigation. We'll continue to track this story and bring you the updates as we learn more. A parent is concerned with a local daycare while the owner says she did nothing wrong. Fox 13 News reporter Maithili Gubi walks us through what happened.
Haley has been taking her 19-month-old son to Talia's Tiny Tots daycare in South Jordan for about 4 months, until an incident on September 19th on Tuesday afternoon, when Adrian's grandma went to pick him up and heard him screaming.
The door that it was coming from was actually a storage closet where there was a small pack and play. There was no lights, no ventilation, nothing. The door was just shut, child locked, and my son was in there screaming with no one around.
So we spoke to the daycare to get their side of the story. The owner, Natalia Howard, showed us where the baby was sleeping, and she said the door was open.
The door doesn't have a lock at all. It is child-proof from the outside, so we don't have other kids coming and going and opening the door. But and nothing that we did was out of, according to law, was everything was okay to do.
Natalia told us that the space had been inspected by the state and was deemed safe for kids' naps, as long as the door was open. We looked up the license and inspections for Talia's Tiny Tots by the Utah Department of Health and Human Services, and all inspections going back to 2020 say, quote, "This inspection has no substantiated complaint allegations or citations." The last inspection was on June 20th of this year.
These children all have a very special place in my heart. I love watching them grow up and see their little different stages of life.
Haley said she didn't know that area under the staircase was a place her son would nap.
Nobody ever showed me that room. I was shown 2 other rooms.
Haley has been sharing her side of the story.
Really look into where your child is going and who's going to be watching them. Make sure you're comfortable with the staff and all of that and all of the rooms in the house.
Natalia tells me that she's been running a daycare for about 7 years and says nothing like this has happened before.
I'm receiving death threats. I've been receiving nonstop phone calls, name calling. I've had to contact the police because, again, I have a daycare and I'm concerned just that somebody will show up at my house.
For the daycare licensing documents, head to fox13now.com. In South Jordan, I am Maithili Gubi. Fox 13 News, Utah.
He jumps out.
Out on foot, start on LVI. Come around.
Officers give foot chase. The dog gets pursued.
Moments later, K-9 officer Maya was shot and killed in the line of duty. Today, the Salt Lake County District Attorney's Office shared details of their investigation that led to their decision not to file criminal charges against the West Jordan police officers for use of deadly force. Let's take you back to February 12th of 2022. Police started to pursue suspect Zachary Alvarenga after a woman called 911 saying he threatened her with a handgun and was following her. After 3 attempts to stop the suspect and chasing him for hours, he stopped at a Costco to refuel. Now, this is where police spiked his tires. He drove along this route while his tires were deflating, finally bailing out of the car and running away, gun in hand. Shortly after he shot the K-9, Maya and 3 officers returned fire.
As they're giving a foot pursuit, they hear the handgun. It is clearly, the shot is clearly heard. At that time, they don't know whether he's shooting at them or shooting the dog. So they're returning fire in response to that.
According to the Utah Department of Corrections, Alvarenga was a corrections officer and previously a soldier in the Utah National Guard in 2019. A missing South Ogden man who was the subject of a silver alert has been found dead near the Weber River. 77-year-old James Buchanan, who suffered from dementia, went missing Wednesday night after he walked away from the South Ogden Post-Acute Care Facility. Last night, surveillance video showed Buchanan in the area of the Adams Avenue Parkway toll booth. Weber County search and rescue crews found his body this morning. No foul play is suspected. Right now, Clearfield police are searching for a woman who has been missing for more than a month. 52-year-old Tina Marie Jones was last seen on August 16th at the Clearfield Junction Apartments, where she was staying with a friend. Jones is experiencing homelessness and is at risk due to her having schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. She's 5 feet 5 inches tall and weighs around 180 pounds. Anybody who has seen or had contact with her around the time of her disappearance should call police. We're learning more about the water issues in Apple Valley and Washington County. After calls from residents not having water Wednesday night, a crew found the town's 3 wells were dry. The mayor says the main tank had a larger issue. He's hoping it's a mechanical problem that can be fixed, but it could be a problem with the aquifer, potentially from seismic activity or drilling. That's still being investigated. For the 2 in the other system, the mayor says they stopped working after someone turned off a valve that wasn't supposed to be touched. He calls it a perfect storm of everything going out at once. Despite some criticism from upset residents, he says the community has been mostly positive in stepping up to help.
We had citizens that call a family in Salt Lake that picked up a pump, delivered halfway, met another citizen in Scipio and brought it down so we could get a pump going right now. We had citizens helping with water tanks on their trailers, going and getting water. We have delivering water to people.
Water is also being trucked in from the local water board and from St. George. We'll keep you updated on the situation. Now to a story of being in the right place at the right time. A Good Samaritan helped save a Provo school bus driver's life after he lost consciousness behind the wheel Thursday afternoon. Cameron McCurdy was with her grandfather after he dropped off all the students when police say he experienced a medical episode. McCurdy jumped into action by shifting the bus into neutral while trying to apply the brakes. At the same time, Connor Morris was walking by and saw the bus veering off the road. He was able to run inside and help McCurdy stop it.
It was kind of surreal. I'm really glad that Cameron was there to put her foot on the brake and jump on the brake. She's really brave for doing that. So in my mind, I see Cameron as a real hero, and I'm just really glad that the bus driver's all right.
The Provo police chief gave both McCurdy and Morris a Citizen Recognition Award for their actions. We love to see stories with happy endings like that. Brack, something else we're happy about, the weather we're going to be having this weekend.
Yeah, it's going to be a nice weekend where leading up to the first official day of fall, which begins tomorrow morning early. Yeah, we're right here in fall. And with this last storm that swept through portions of northern Utah, We're feeling the chill in the air. I want to share a photo that'll come up on our Facebook page. Stephanie, this is in Utah County. Beautiful red colors there. You look off in the distance. A dusting of snow, mountain Timpanogos. This last storm, bringing the rain to the valleys, snow to the higher terrain, and the storm is moving on, but leaving a mark here, particularly across northern Utah. Afternoon highs well below average. We should be in the upper 70s today. We only made it up to 63 degrees in Salt Lake City. 50s in Logan. We got up to 54 degrees today with your high in Evanston. 70s though in Vernal. Again, ahead of the front where we saw temperatures still in the 80s in Moab. St. George a little cooler today. Your high 83 degrees. 50s currently though. 40s in Logan. 30s in Evanston. It's going to be a chilly night. We have a few locations where we've got freeze warnings in effect. As we look at other locations through central and southern Utah, looks like 50s and even 70s across southern Utah. Clouds moving in across southern Utah. No threat of any showers. We push further northward. The showers pushing away. It's going to be a clear and cold night. We'll show you where those freeze warnings will be in effect here for tonight. Plus, what can we expect for the weekend? And when's our next storm? We'll answer that coming up in just a few minutes.
Improving land use in the desert in the face of a drier and more unpredictable future. A unique place in southern Utah is bringing researchers, scientists, and ranchers together to find climate change solutions.
Plus, the magic of reading came alive at the Guadalupe School today. I'll take you to this special Harry Potter party.
And later in sports, high school football headlined by Lehigh and Skyridge, who would win the battle between the reigning state champions.
There is no one solution to combat the complex issue of climate change, but there is one place in southern Utah that is finding ways to make our lives in a drying climate more sustainable. Fox 13 News reporter Jenna Bree takes us to the Canyonlands Research Center.
Everyone remembers the first time they've come here.
Along the beautiful winding road that connects Moab to the Canyonlands National Park's Needles entrance lies thousands of acres of land known as Dugout Ranch.
If you saw someone drive past on the highway, you knew who that person was. So it was a different time.
Matt Redd is a fifth-generation rancher. About 12 years ago, the Nature Conservancy acquired his land. Now he and his wife Kristen manage the Canyonlands Research Center.
Arid lands are really important in the world. There's a lot of agriculture happening on arid lands. People rely on arid lands. The research center is focused on climate adaptation with agriculture and ranching, but also with restoration practices.
Professors and students from schools like Utah State University are researching how ranchers can sustain livestock in a drying climate.
Grasses, which are a primary forage for cattle, are going to become more scarce. They're going to be especially vulnerable to drought and to the changing climate.
This is the only place in Utah where you'll see Criollo cows, which Kari Veblen says are smaller than Angus ones and could have a lighter footprint on our land.
Criollo cattle are a biotype, and they are of cattle that are considered to be more desert adapted.
On top of studying cattle, other scientists are using this land to learn how to stop a particularly dangerous weather event, which many Utahns are all too familiar with.
We experience a lot of dust storms. Gets in your eyes, it's bad to breathe the dust. When you have a soil surface that's completely covered and protected by biological crusts, then you're not having that dust getting up in the air and into your lungs.
Matt Bowker and Sasha Reed are studying biocrusts at the research center. They've even learned how to grow them and reintroduce them into degraded landscapes.
We really want to understand how biocrusts are doing things like stabilizing soil here, because we do have so much issues with erosion and dust. We want to see these biocrusts doing what they do, which is gluing this soil together.
Much of this precious landscape is being continually developed and recreated on. The Canyonlands Research Center is working to promote a sustainable future for the natural systems our lives depend on.
When you come to a place like this, be careful of where you're walking and realize that the soil is alive, and it won't just come back tomorrow if you damage it.
In San Juan County, Jenna Bree, Fox 13 News, Utah.
For 25 years now, Harry Potter has captured the hearts and wands of wizarding fans around the globe. A little bit of that magic was spread today at one elementary school in Salt Lake City. With the help of the Scripps Howard Fund, Fox 13 News, and Cypress Credit Union, students received a free copy of the first book in the series to celebrate. I was there today for their Potter party. You know that music. Instead of arriving at Hogwarts, our adventure began at Guadalupe Elementary School on the west side of Salt Lake City.
Those in the House of Gryffindor, please gather with Professor Scott.
Whether you're brave and chivalrous like the House of Gryffindor, hardworking and patient like a Hufflepuff, smart and witty like a Ravenclaw, or ambitious and cunning like the House of Slytherin, there was a place for you to learn and play.
From the minute we delivered a letter to their classroom announcing they were coming, they were just filled with so much excitement. Some of them have read them, they know what house they're in. They've given me some grief for being a Slytherin, you know, they're all. So yes, I was very pleased to see how excited they were.
From mixing palatable potions to making friends with owls.
You can see them. Now, snowy owls.
Even if you haven't read the books, you got a first-hand feel for what the wizarding world is all about.
I'm hoping they have a curiosity for those who haven't read the books to actually pick up their book and start and get into this world that so many millions and millions of us have absolutely fallen in love with. And we always want to encourage reading in our students.
And instead of leaving from platform 9 3/4, these students left their makeshift Hogwarts the more traditional way, and hopefully with a little more magic and wonder than when they came. Well, today's surprise party was a continuation of our If You Give a Child a Book campaign. The goal is to ensure that every partner Title I school receives 10 books per student each year. If you'd like to donate, you can text Fox 13 Reads to 50155 or visit fox13now.com/giveabook.
When I see Harry Potter, I think of Halloween, and as I look at the temperatures today, well, afternoon highs more in line for temperatures that we typically find towards the end of October. And we're starting to see those fall colors popping up here as we show you a view at East Canyon, picture taken by Chris Williams, where last week the fall colors a little bit more patchy, but they're beginning to fill in. Yeah, opportunities to do those fall drives, making a note there, putting that on your schedule, where it looks like for the weekend weather is going to be cooperating. Now today highs well below average. We got up to 63 degrees. We should be in the upper 70s. Look at the record set back in 1954. Low 90s. We're not heading towards record-breaking temperatures. And actually throughout the weekend, we're going to keep temperatures actually starting off below average, but then getting above average looking towards next week. Outside right now, though, we've really been clearing out where earlier on, of course, we've been having the clouds and the rain showers throughout northern Utah on and off again, kind of scattered. They are dissipating and moving on. Right now here along the Wasatch Front, we're in the 50s. And as we take a look for tonight, moving into tomorrow morning, it becomes the official first day of fall. Yeah, starting off Saturday morning at 2:50 a.m., the autumnal equinox here, and it's going to be a cool start. As I mentioned, temperatures starting off below average as we found today, but it is going to be warmer than what we experienced on Friday. It's going to be a chilly night, though. We've got a few locations that will be under a freeze warning to start things off Saturday morning. High pressure building in, though. Really, it's going to be a gorgeous weekend, both across northern into southern Utah, even though we'll have some clouds initially for southern Utah. We don't have any big threat of rain, and we're keeping the storms away here for the next several days. Okay, we talked about that freeze warning from the National Weather Service. Here are the areas we're looking at. As we look mainly over towards the Wasatch back, so the mountain valleys. Ogden Valley, so going from Liberty, Eden, heading near Pineview, Huntsville, and then tracking over towards areas of Summit and Wasatch County. So we're looking at Park City over towards Heber into Camas, and then looking at the Bear River Valley as we go from Woodruff to Randolph. Those are areas that we'll see those temperatures freezing or below here in the overnight hours, especially early Saturday morning. Now, I mentioned the clouds, that migration of the upper level moisture, those clouds spreading across southern Utah. They'll be in place. Right now, no activity from radar. We're not going to see a lot of showers from those clouds. And actually, the showers that we previously saw here across northern Utah now exiting off towards the northeast. We are holding on to a few isolated showers. Take a look, though, Logan Canyon, maybe even find in some of the higher terrain a few light snow showers here for the next hour or two. But that moisture in place across southern Utah will be in effect come tomorrow morning. Again, most of the shower activity will stay south, but southeastern Utah, you might see some brief rain. Again, that's pushing on and then exiting the state state. And as we'll be looking at by tomorrow, high pressure will be building in, which is good news as we gear up for tomorrow. I need to change that time. It's actually hide that. It's 1:30, and this is why I'm showing the hourly forecast for this game tomorrow with Utes taking on UCLA. It's going to be sunny, great for the tailgating, and then great for the game where temperatures looking like they'll get up into the low 70s. Now tonight, again, chilly as we look from Logan through Evanston, Park City, temperatures near freezing, but even temperatures in the 30s through central Utah. It's 70s though for many spots here across the state. It's sunshine, but some clouds across southern Utah. We'll be looking at highs in Logan in the mid 60s, 70s in Price, and low 80s in St. George. Keeping it clear, keeping it sunny. We'll have to contend with some clouds for St. George, and then we're heading for the 90s Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Next 7 days, no rain, a little cooler though as we look towards the end of the week. Northern Utah, low 70s to 80s, staying in the 80s until about Wednesday. Then we cool off a little bit, but again, we're keeping the rain away and some very nice temperatures ahead.
Thanks, Brick. Come together in song and dance. We'll take a closer look at the benefit concert in Salt Lake City tonight, aiming to help prevent teen suicide. It's called Come Together, an electrifying benefit concert with soulful melodies. Tonight was an evening of unity at the Capitol Theater in Salt Lake City, aiming to bring awareness and prevent teen suicide. Deborah Bonner, founder of Unity Gospel Choir International, orchestrated the night with performers like Chris Higby, Nathan Osmond, youth choir members, and center stage dancers. The event, emceed by our own Fox 13 News anchor Bob Evans, melded song and dance to mend broken hearts and bring people together.
Growing up in today's world, teens have it very, very difficult. They need all the help that they can get. Gospel music has been proven to be a powerful tool in influencing them for good so that they can make good decisions.
We're wanting to transform lives, give them hope and love and joy. And they can find that in singing gospel music because it's personal.
Unity Gospel Choir International is a nonprofit, and they say this event serves as the catalyst to launching the organization's efforts to create transformational youth choirs.
Even here in Salt Lake County, where traffic is so heavy, we still see 100 plus on a regular basis.
Utah Highway Patrol says they're seeing an uptick of speeders hitting over 100 miles per hour. Today, one of those drivers was a teen accused of leading a trooper on a chase. We'll take a closer look at the problem.
Nearly 80% of Utah is now drought-free. The positive impact it's having on our reservoirs and elsewhere across the state.
And week 7 for the Preps, a good one under the lights between Crosstown Cousins, Lehigh, and Sky Ridge.
A 17-year-old girl was arrested for leading a state trooper on a high-speed chase in Davis County at more than 100 miles per hour. Fox 13 News reporter Lucy Nelson spoke with state troopers about the uptick in speeding on Utah's roads and shares a new way they're hoping to combat it.
Have you ever driven at 100 miles per hour?
No, I have not, because it's past the speed limit.
No, that would be intense.
I don't have anywhere to go that fast.
I asked some people what they thought would qualify as speeding on the roads.
Probably anything like over 10.
At least 10 or 15.
Right around 10.
The numbers popping up on trooper speedometers is oftentimes a lot higher than 10 over. Sergeant Lawrence Hopper says it's not uncommon to see these high speeds even in a non-pursuit scenario.
I've seen in my personal career an uptick lately with the 100 plus. Even here in Salt Lake County, where traffic is so heavy, we still see 100 plus on a regular basis.
Utah Highway Patrol stats show troopers have pulled over more than 3,000 people going over 100 miles per hour so far this year, and nearly 30,000 drivers since 2017.
The number one cause of fatal crashes here in Utah is speed. And if we could just get people to slow down, we'll have less fatalities, less serious crashes with injuries, and people will get to where they're going and they'll get there safely.
More than 30% of fatal crashes in the past 7 years were speed-related. It's why Utah Highway Patrol implemented 2 new perch positions just last month, where troopers are highly visible in an effort to slow drivers down just with their presence.
And it doesn't matter what we're doing, when those red and blue lights are activated, people just slow down.
He has a simple message that saves lives.
You're not saving much time, but you're putting yourself at a huge risk when you speed and everybody else. And so go the speed limit, it's there for a reason, and just be safe.
In Salt Lake City, Lucy Nelson, Fox 13 News, Utah.
A former South Salt Lake school worker who was arrested last year after allegedly getting pregnant with a student's child is pleading guilty. 30-year-old Kimberly Cruz Romero pled guilty to aggravated sexual abuse of a child, which was amended to a first-degree felony. All other charges have been dismissed with prejudice. Her sentencing is scheduled for November 13th of this year. Nearly a year after a man was killed during a road rage incident in Sandy, the man charged with his death is pleading guilty to manslaughter charges. 33-year-old Rodrigo Monroy submitted his plea today, admitting he caused the death of Christopher Mortensen after the two fought following an October 26 confrontation on I-15. Monroy now faces 1 to 15 years in prison when he is eventually sentenced. And the sentencing of Utah billionaire Trevor Milton has been delayed again. Milton was the founder and CEO of Nikola Motors, an electric truck company. He was found guilty last October, nearly a year ago, on 3 fraud charges, but has remained free on a $100 million bond. His team of attorneys argued one of the jurors who convicted him had a bias against rich people, but the judge chose not to grant a new trial. His sentencing is now set for November 28th. More problems are coming up at the Utah State Prison. 57 inmates in Salt Lake City are being treated for scabies. All the cases are contained in just one housing unit, a dorm-style building called the Green Unit. Nurses with the Division of Correctional Health Services are providing treatment. Clothing and bedding will be disinfected, and the prison is being cleaned. Visitation to this unit of the prison is temporarily closed. Scabies is an itchy skin rash caused by mites. For the first time in 4 years, nearly 80% of Utah is now completely out of drought conditions. Fox 13 News reporter Chris Arnold spoke with the state's Division of Water Resources about the improved conditions this year.
Are you still using garlic?
A day off from school for Devin Ropes allowed him a chance to enjoy one of his hobbies.
I don't know if I put enough on it though.
Fishing.
My dad loved to do it, now I love to do it.
Along with his cousin and their furry four-legged friends, Devin set up on the shore at Jordanelle State Park. His first time here in 4 years.
It was great, but then all the drought started, and then it wasn't great anymore.
Devin says he saw the impact of the drought elsewhere.
So like we fished at Grantsville Reservoir a lot, and it would be just going a mile down to the shoreline.
Now, according to data from the U.S. Drought Monitor, Utah is 77% drought-free. Here's a snapshot of this time last year. The map to your left showing that 0% of the state was drought-free.
Last summer, we were in some extreme drought. By the end, at the fall this time, we were at almost 57% in extreme drought category. And this year, we don't have any extreme drought in the state, and we only have less than 5% in the moderate drought category.
A huge improvement. Laura Haskell, the drought coordinator with the state's Division of Water Resources, attributes to record-setting snow in the Beehive State this past winter.
The snowpack has made a huge difference, that record-breaking snowpack that we had, and then great runoff melt conditions so that a lot of that water went into our reservoirs and recharged, refilled those.
This map showing the reservoir levels across the state. Deer Creek Reservoir is currently sitting at 87% capacity. To the southeast at Strawberry Reservoir, it is at 88% currently. St. Hollow, down near St. George, is 93% full. Here at Jordanelle Reservoir, it is currently sitting at 85% capacity, up from 66% this time last year. Haskell tells me that the state is in a great position with the new water year right around the corner, beginning on October 1st.
So if we can have a little bit of snow, rain, things in the fall to keep the soil wet until it freezes, then we'll be in a much better place for the spring runoff.
With more water to potentially catch some fish, Devin says he's hoping for more of the same next year.
Makes you more motivated to come out and fish.
At Jordanelle State Park, Chris Arnold, Fox 13 News, Utah.
A celebration on the San Juan River in New Mexico. A look at a new way to save water that's a model for part of what Utah wants to do to save the Great Salt Lake.
A new way of looking at water and how to make water rights work for everyone involved. Fox 13 News anchor Max Roth takes us to New Mexico with an in-depth look at how the San Juan River got a little bigger.
New Mexico may be the only state drier than Utah, and water scarcity often divides competing interests. Well, an innovative approach provides a model for future cooperation. Partnering with the University of Colorado Water Desk and Brad Hicks, here's how a tribe is selling their water to save the river they revere. Record snow in the southern Rockies strengthens the San Juan River. It joins the Colorado via Lake Powell in Utah, but upstream a couple hundred river miles, they're celebrating in Farmington, New Mexico.
The river that's breathing life.
Most of this water started in smaller streams on tribal lands, some of it belonging to the Jicarilla Apache. They call the river water
Koh, like K-O-H with a Koh.
They have rights to some of that coal, but they don't have the soil or infrastructure to use it. For decades, the Jicarilla sold most of their water to a coal plant. That market has dried up with the decline in coal power.
A big chunk of guaranteed revenue that we needed to make up.
The tribe found partners to buy the water and leave it in the river. It's a technique Utah wants to use as part of the effort to save the Great Salt Lake. The state of New Mexico and the Nature Conservancy have a 10-year lease for the tribe's water, more than 6 billion gallons a year staying in the San Juan.
We were so intrigued by the opportunity to restore flows into this incredible river.
The extra water creates new habitat for two kinds of endangered fish. It helps New Mexico fulfill an obligation to get a certain amount of water into Lake Powell. And the tribe doesn't just get money. They get to honor the sacred Koh.
That gives us life. It gives everything life.
The Jicarilla have also modeled a path to more power. More than 24 tribes have water rights in the Colorado River Basin without a seat at the table. For the first time, the Jicarilla didn't just have a seat. They sat at the head of the table.
I hope this is something that we as the state and others across the West can learn from and replicate elsewhere.
Before Lake Powell and Lake Mead, the two crucial reservoirs in the Colorado River system, well, they're Flaming Gorge in Utah and Wyoming, storing water from the Green, and Navajo Lake in New Mexico, storing water from the San Juan. In the studio, Max Roth, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Coming up, we'll have more on the OSIRIS-REx mission with the asteroid sample set to land in Utah in less than 48 hours.
And later in sports, is Weber State ready to prove their worth in a loaded Big Sky Conference? A tough one on tap for them tomorrow. Plus, Week 7 for the Preps, including the battle for Lehigh. First ever meeting between Lehigh and Sky Ridge. Back in a bit.
We are just 2 days away from the return of OSIRIS-REx to Earth, a 7-year NASA mission that will land back in the Utah desert on Sunday. Fox 13 News reporter Spencer Joseph joins us in studio with a preview of the landing as well as the roles that some at Utah State University played in making it all happen.
They are questions as old as time.
Everybody living wonders, how did we begin? Right? How did this Earth form and how did life get here?
And for Dr. Jed Hancock of the Space Dynamics Laboratory at Utah State University, there are questions he's asked too, which is why in 2011, when the Space Dynamics Laboratory was asked to be a part of the OSIRIS mission, they jumped at the chance.
This is one more set of answers.
The target was this, asteroid Bennu, a unique asteroid in the solar system landscape.
Asteroids are basically matter in our solar system that didn't make it into planets when the solar system was formed. So they hold clues.
USU's task was basically to document it.
Talented men and women at Space Dynamics Lab designed the detector assemblies, the electronics. These are the eye of the camera that creates the images and the pictures.
There are 3 cameras named the Polycam, the Mapcam, and the SamCam that were all put on the OSIRIS spacecraft. The Polycam was used to capture images like this as it approached asteroid Bennu. Once close enough, the Mapcam took over, taking high-res color pictures of smaller areas of the surface.
0.5 meters.
And then there's the SamCam.
Tag lateral offset.
is 1.7 meters.
And we have touchdown!
These images, now the most iconic part of the OSIRIS-REx mission, where the sample was captured, was taken with that SAMCAM. All of these images thanks to those here in Utah.
It's so exciting. It's been such a great experience to be a part of such an awesome team with NASA, University of Arizona.
It's been over a decade since they first got involved.
It really has been almost a career, right? For a lot of us that have worked on the mission. It's very exciting. When my wife and I went to the launch, we had a baby in our arms. And she now just finished the first grade. She's almost 8.
So from launch,
liftoff of OSIRIS-REx,
to sample collection,
and we're bringing the samples home,
to the return of OSIRIS, USU and with it Utah has been there every step of the way.
It's just really a fun experience. And to have it take so long, to have it be a part of your life for, over a decade.
So our live coverage begins at 7 a.m. on Good Day Utah. I'll be out at the Dugway Proving Grounds all morning long as OSIRIS-REx returns to planet Earth. Spencer Joseph, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Target place for the landing as long as the parachute engages, right?
Exactly.
If it doesn't, then who knows where it will land.
Well, Spencer's going to be out there to tell us
No
for
what.
sure. We were talking about this earlier. You said since he's going to be out there early on Sunday, he might need an extra layer.
Yeah.
But maybe we won't need the extra layers all weekend.
No, we're going to be warming up through the weekend. High pressure building in. Now today we saw highs in the 60s. Tomorrow, kind of in that sweet range of temperature, low 70s with expected highs here along the Wasatch Front. Though right now we're in the mid 50s under clear conditions. With these clear skies overnight, there are some areas that temperatures really will be dropping and concerns for freezing conditions, particularly if we do have sensitive vegetation that we're still trying to protect. Of course, as we're at the tail end of harvest season, we have to be mindful of that. I'll show you where in just a few moments what you have to be aware of, particularly as you look at some of the mountain valleys. Now, looking ahead, as I've been highlighting and showcasing some of the photos coming up on our Facebook page, showing you all the beautiful fall colors that we're seeing, mainly here across northern Utah, where in contrast to last week, where the situation looking at the fall colors, we were more dealing with patchy conditions. Now we're moving to where it's more partial. We're not at the peak as of yet. We still have to wait for about another week and a half, at least for the mountains of northern Utah, where we'll be at that peak. Now, it's the mountains. We're starting to see the colors change here in the valleys, and the movement of those fall colors and that transition really taking place where central and southern Utah, you'll start to get in the mix as we move further close towards October. So it is a good opportunity, especially across northern Utah, as we're seeing those colors to do those popular fall drives. We'll get opportunities there for the next several weeks, but you definitely could put that on track. If you're trying to find some pleasant weather, we'll get that tomorrow. A lot of sunshine, particularly across northern Utah. Now for southern Utah, we are seeing some clouds, and that could impact areas such as Cedar Breaks in those fall drives for tomorrow. Now, as I mentioned, those cold temperatures overnight, freeze warnings in effect. I showcased some of those areas and locations and cities. Woodruff, Randolph, you're in that mix there. Looking over towards the Wasatch back from Heber, Park City, so portions of Summit and Wasatch County, over towards Ogden Valley as well. Those are areas, definitely getting temperatures close to freezing or below freezing for an extended period of time. So we're mindful of that with that freeze warning that will be in effect. Now, those are the clouds there across southern Utah. They're creeping in. They'll be in place for tomorrow. Now, some updates where some of those clouds could produce near the Arizona-Utah border, maybe seeing a few isolated showers or thunderstorms. We're not worried about that threat, even though we're hanging on to maybe just some lingering light showers currently, mainly as we take a look, not much hitting the ground, but we've been looking actually a little bit of light snow up Logan Canyon, as that will taper off here over the next hour or two. So southern Utah, you've got this little batch of moisture and that disturbance rolling through, which again, it could provide for some showers briefly. Extreme southern Utah. Let's confirm that as we take a look at our computer models. Again, those clouds will be in place tomorrow. You'll get periods of sunshine, particularly across southwestern Utah, but throughout the afternoon, there is a little kind of round of rain that could hit from St. George into Kanab, heading over towards Page as well. That's one location I'll keep my eye on. I'm going to now throw in a slight chance of maybe seeing an isolated shower or thunderstorm throughout that area. We're keeping it clear here across the north, but it looks like it'll be cold tonight. Some locations through central Utah also in the 30s. 30s, but you can see from Logan through Park City, we're in the low 30s and near freezing. Highs tomorrow, again, just almost ideal. 70s here across northern Utah through southern Utah. St. George, you've got partly cloudy conditions, but you see I throw in the word slight chance. That afternoon shower is a possibility, but good for Sunday and then good thereafter. You don't see the rain, and temperatures returning to the 90s. Northern Utah, low 70s to 80s, to then to mid 80s. Slightly cooler by the end of the week, but we're keeping the big storms away, and for the weekend, we're hanging on to the sunshine.
Crosstown cousins Sky Ridge and Lehigh both hoisted up state championship trophies last November. The Falcons at 6A, the Pioneers at 5A. But Lehigh has since moved up a class, giving the two the chance to meet in the regular season for the first time ever. Lehigh did defeat the Falcons in the 2017 5A title game, and hosting the Region 3 battle tonight where Purple pounces first, Diva Ika on the end around. He'll turn up, standing up for the lead. But the Falcons with a quick response. Jackson Stevens for Trent Call, who finds that screen door completely unlocked, untouched, 21 yards to even things up at 7 after 1. Lehigh with a great shot to cross pylon again, but Jet New can't handle the snap. Deshaun Toilolo on the sack. The Pioneers back up with the short Gavin Fenn kick, but Sky Ridge always had a touchdown up their sleeve. A lot of time for Stevens on 4th down. Colby Smith down inside the 5, leading to a little flip pass for Trevin McClellan. Rody's back on top. Lehigh's defense makes a bold play before the half. Stevens airs out for Call, but he's in a tussle for the ball with Isaiah Mama. Who wants it more? A scrap that lasted 12 seconds before they ruled it a pick, but Sky Ridge soon right back at it. The senior Stevens on the roll, leading Jack Burke as they take it 35-17 to stay perfect at 7-0. Jump to Region 5, Roy and Woods Cross needing a win to stay in second place. The Royals throwing, but the Wildcats intercepting. Isaac Johnson swooping in, leading to a Woods Cross field goal for the lead. But Roy would reel off 23 unanswered after that. Joseph Cariaga III bending in for 6, far side there. This one was pretty much all Roy. 51-17. Alta at Olympus, a game even at 14 in the third. Hawks on the march, but Kepa Niometolo overshoots his target right into the arms of Hugh Matsumori. The Titans did reach the end zone in the 4th. Chase Mosley, fresh gunpowder in that cannon, 34 yards on stride for Caden Lloyd. This game, though, is tied at 21 in the 4th. A quadruple header coming your way on Fox 13 tomorrow, including game number 2 between 11th ranked Utah and 22nd ranked UCLA. First kick at 1:30 with the Utes favored by a touchdown. Meanwhile, on our sister station, Utah 16, you can catch Big Sky football Saturday. Montana and Northern Arizona at 2 with a top 8 FCS battle after that. Number 3 Montana State in Ogden to face 8th ranked Weber State.
I think to be at home, their crowd does a fantastic job of influencing the game. But being at home, I think we'll have a good tilt with our fans, expecting a big crowd, looking forward to having a packed house for a top 10 matchup, hopefully.
And a major feat in baseball tonight. Braves outfielder Ronald Acuna Jr. has now done something only 4 others have, joining the 40-40 club. Acuna with a first-inning jack at the Nationals. Home run number 40 on the year. He had already reached 40 stolen bases. Only Alfonso Soriano, Alex Rodriguez, Barry Bonds, and Jose Canseco had ever done that. And yes, Atlanta did win the game. Their 99th win of the season.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you, Morgan. Stay with us. We'll be right back. This morning, Utah State University held its annual Tractor Day Parade down Aggie Boulevard in the center of campus. Tractor riders represented various entities on campus and members of Cache Valley's farming community. All right. Thanks for watching Fox 13 News at 9. Quick Cast is up next.